Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floor. Turn him over again. Booker scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
What is up, everybody? It is the final countdown show. I'm here with AP, here with DC. We are breaking down the NBA slate, NFL Showdown. If you want to check that out, we got tons of shows over on YouTube already. We got the Print Factory show on Premium. I got my Chargers blue on today because I'm rooting on the Chargers. So I'm excited for that game, but we got some NBA to talk about, obviously. Got news that we're waiting on. AP, I'll start with you first. How is it going over there?
Yeah, it's going good. I mean, on these Mondays, I'm always trying to get, playbook, heat map all updated, and then it's like bang, 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 news hits. And it's wild. It's just another Monday in the NBA streets, and we're still waiting on news. Like, I like the teams that have already got the news out there. The other teams that haven't, Pacers, I'm looking at you. Screw you guys. You guys, Miles Turner's playing. I kind of think he doesn't play tonight. So he sat the last back-to-back. Obviously, we'll talk about that. But, man, all is good.
Good to hear. DC, how are things going in Colorado? How's your Monday?
Monday is good. Spent the morning in the mountains running my ass off, so a little bit tired, but here for a fun night of sports. Good 7-game NBA slate, and then Ravens and Chargers, the Harbaugh Bowl. Really good Monday night football game. And speaking of football, man, you buried the lead a little bit. 15K score yesterday, second in the $50 single entry, thanks to your favorite play on the slate, Zay Flowers. Taking you home, and a little bit of Twitter, fun, maybe not the right word, but entertainment. One of those, listen, I've been there, right? Where, you make all the teams, maybe you miss some teams on the core, but you get a different team home, and you kind of, listen, you still get the money, right? You get the 15K, but it doesn't feel quite as good as if it was just like your slam core, does it? I've been there. It's still a big congratulations, but you're kind of like, man, I wish, I'm sure you wish that it was all the plays that you listed, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I did the math. Well, I did the math. I pulled up Saver and just looked. It was 70% was Kyler Murray and Geno of my quarterbacks. So that's a lot, obviously. And then when I looked, because I have a lot of different single entry contests. I don't just put one team in all the single entries anymore. Yeah. I just put a lot of different ones. I had in the $100 single entry, I had a Pat Mahomes stack that was like Kareem Hunt.
Mangone, we don't believe you. We know that you're out there putting up false content to lead people astray so that you can get all the money yourself. That's what we know that you're doing.
I'm swerving the field. Don't you worry. That's what I'm doing right now. My rankings are up. For the cash stuff, I'm swerving all the rankings and everything. Watch out. It's I'm just here to listen to DC. I'm here for him to talk me onto some Jalen Waddle or whoever the low-owned play is he likes on this slate. That's
listen, man. I'm happy for you. I will admit I was a little tilted yesterday playing. We're bringing the
Ryan diet.
It's good. Beaner, you need to add that to the thread this morning. We need to revive that from this morning. Good Twitter thread. I'm sure there's at least a few other people in the chat that get what I'm referencing. But I guess enough football talk for tonight. But I will say, Mangone, we're getting to the top again tonight because our boy Justin Herbert throwing some lasers for the Chargers. It's going to be a fun Monday Night Football slate too.
Yeah, I haven't sent the tweet out, but I did place money on Chargers to win the Super Bowl at 25-1. I'm a believer.
Is that still out there? I want a piece of that.
I got it this morning. I already have the Packers at 18-1, and I was like, I want an AFC.
Which site for the Chargers?
I think the site we didn't name. Actually, no, both sites. Because I did it on DK #DK partner. They did limit me to $78.50, but I'm going to be firing the tweet out, after the show. I'll have one going out like hour before kickoff. Still time to get this price. So there you
go. Listen. I helped you win with Waddle yesterday. You're going to help me win when the Chargers win the Super Bowl with that 25-1. So we're even.
Yeah, it's. I think they're a good bet. That's all. It shouldn't be 25-1. That's all I'm saying. It should be.
Also, the Chargers should be favored tonight. Kind of ridiculous that they're dogs, I think, at home to the Ravens. But we'll see.
Agree. We'll see. Hopefully Snyder's not listening. He'll be very.
He thinks the Chargers are going to win. He's been in discussion.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right, fellas. We got a lot to break down.
All right, we got a lot to break down.
I'll talk right now.
We got a lot to break down. Hard to break stuff down without the Miles Turner news because he's just being. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it. But
but we can go game by game. It's not what we usually do.
Yeah. But I think we'll. We'll start with. We're not going to start with that game. But you know what we're going to start with? Let's start with a game. This is the perfect game to start with. Everyone's out. We don't have injury news, and Tobias Harris is the GOAT. So let's start with my man Tobias Harris, who I think is a really good play today. Actually, a lot of people will be considering him. Scotty Barnes, I saw. He is someone that I know Bobby was high on in the playbook I saw. He's 8.5K. Clearly, this is a game that not a lot of defense is going to be played, but I do think the Detroit Pistons have some good options. There's no Cade Cunningham. You're going to like Jaden Ivey, 6.8K. You can make a case that Jalen Duren, Jakob Poeltl, they're going to play a ton, right? Like they're just going to handshake agree. We're all going to play a shit ton of minutes, and that's how it's going to go. I think this is a really, really good spot for Pistons. I don't hate the Raptors, but I still think some of them are a little bit priced up. AP, I'll go over to you to break this game down. What are you doing with the Raptors and the Pistons?
Oh, I love chat. Just hilarious. Raptors, a great matchup to stream players against, and Cade Cunningham's out. So that is going to consolidate usage around Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris. I think your boy Tobias is set up for a big game. Malik Beasley should enter the starting lineup. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been horrendous. Like he's been terrible. And then Marcus Sasser off the bench, and Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren are like splitting minutes. It would be a great matchup for centers for Jalen Duren, but he's 6,400. And I'm a Jalen Duren guy. I've been playing him. I'm like, I don't even know how we would even consider him outside of the matchup being really good. Hopefully he just like runs pure. I'm leaving him in my pool, but I'm not excited about it. I think the plays are you keep it easy. Jaden Ivey in an absolute smash spot, and then I think it's a good spot for Tobias Harris. And on the Toronto side, Jakob Poeltl smashed in this matchup. Rebounding bigs have smashed consistently against Detroit. He's a good play. I think Point Scotty is back too. He has a big price tag, but I think he's in play. And then you can kind of ignore everyone else. RJ Barrett's priced way, way up there, and Scotty being back takes away a lot from him. So we got to wait till his price kind of normalizes a little bit. So I like this game overall. I think it's fine. I don't think you want to like go all in on it, but I definitely think there's some underpriced plays.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some underpriced plays. Mainly the Pistons side is the key. And you're going to see some of these guys get ownership, right? Like Ivy, Harris, Malik Beasley, all really good spots. And that's because Cade Cunningham is out. The Raptors do not play a lot of defense either. DC, I do think you can make an argument to game stack if you wanted to, and you'll get under-owned plays on the Raptors side of the ball. It just depends if you want to do that. I like the Pistons side. I'm not in love with the Raptors. How about you?
I actually think two of these first three games are game stackable. I almost, on Friday night, I got real close to winning with the big old game stack, actually a few times this year. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think this game has that potential. If you look at the Toronto side, they are really, really thin, right? Missing quickly. I know they got Barnes back, but they lost Grady Dick, right? No Kelly Olynyk, obviously. So, like, Barnes and RJ Barrett, I know they're expensive, 8,500, 8,600, but, like, who are the other scorers on this team? I mean, they don't really have any at all. So I do think Barnes and Barrett, if Toronto plays well, which they certainly could against Detroit, could have big games. And then obviously Jakob Poeltl, you can pair him too. It feels like a lot playing, 3 8K Toronto Raptors. But when you look at the rest of their team, it's Davion Mitchell, Akbaji, Boucher, Magbo, right? Guys that really don't do a whole lot. So I see potentially Toronto, if they play well, this is a situation where I think you want to play the starters together. I think their minutes are all tied together. If they win this game, if they're playing well, I think you could play. I mean, we could see 35 minutes each from Pirtle, Barrett, Scotty Barnes. I think 45 plus each fantasy points is possible. Is that enough on a 7-game slate with a lot of injury news? Maybe not. So I don't know. I think it's in play, especially if you're playing Detroit, who has the obvious plays too, right? It's Ivy, Tobias Harris, and then if you really wanted a game stack, who would be the third? Malik Beasley, I think, can get hot from 3, put up, 30 or 40? We've seen him do it a couple of times. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'll pass on Jalen Duren just because the minutes, right, are kind of split between Stewart and Duren. But, yeah, I think it's on the Detroit side, like you guys mentioned, Harris, Ivy, and then Beasley would be my third. Hardaway, yeah, I just don't think so. He's just playing so bad right now. So I do think it's those 3. But anytime I find a game with a relatively high total that's expected to be close, and you can very clearly identify the 3 best pieces on both sides and fit them all into the same lineups, those are the game stacks that I like to look at. And I think this game, certainly qualifies as one. So I like this game quite a bit.
For what it's worth, I think you can do the Watford thing. Or not Watford. I'm doing the slate builder stuff. That's the FanDuel stuff. I think you can do the Tim Hardaway Jr. thing. Like, you could get away with it, and he's going to be very low. But he's been playing
cheap, right? If he gets hot from 3, I mean,
correct. You're playing for that ceiling, and there's no Cade Cunningham now, so that could help, right? Maybe that gives him a little bit of a better role. The ball's in his hands a little bit more. But I agree, Beasley's definitely ahead of him as that third guy. I just wouldn't completely X him out or anything like that is all.
You guys like Barrett and Barnes at all, or do you think there's just better?
I like Barnes on the site we shall not name, but he's not awful on DK.
Why not Barrett? I mean, he's like, what do you have last? I mean, he's getting like 15 potential assists, 15 drives, 38 minutes, 20 shots. I think Barrett can get there too.
AP, do you like what's your take on Barrett and Barnes?
Yeah, so we've had Scotty Barnes back now for like a game and a half roughly, and it's going to take away from RJ Barrett a lot of what he does. So if you're going back looking at the other recent games before Scotty was back, I just think he's slightly overpriced. But I'm trying to get up to Franz on the slate. I'm trying to get up to Jokic. So that middle upper tier, you got to kind of be careful with who you plug and play in that middle upper tier.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that. All right, let's get to the next game. Let's do Orlando and Charlotte. Let's see. Obviously, LaMelo Ball is a good play. Franz Wagner is a good play because, hey, they're just getting so much usage. It just doesn't matter. They're the only guys in town. They're going to have ownership, rightfully so. It makes a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to some of these other plays here, Brandon Miller, 7.5K. Obviously, someone that we can, could consider here a little bit in this spot. Goga Batase, he's obviously not a bad option at 5.1K as a big man. You're going to have a really good opportunity for Anthony Black here at 4.4K. I don't think he's a bad option as well. And then we should talk about, we'll let DC talk about him, Mr. Diabate. DC, let's go to you first. I think you're going to like this game a lot. It sounds like there's guys that you are going to be all over. Talk about Orlando and the Hornets.
It makes me a little nervous because this does still have a low total, right? So not expected to be. I mean, we see this a lot with Orlando games. I do wonder a little bit if right, you look at the data for Orlando and they've never run this starting lineup, this rotation yet this year. No Suggs, no Paulo. They're literally starting Franz Wagner at the point. They're starting Gary Harris in Suggs' spot, right? So it's going to be, I mean, I don't think Gary Harris is really going to run any point guard at all. I think it's going to be all Franz to start the game, who's been awesome. And then still bringing Anthony Black off the bench. But, I mean, he's a good player, and I think he plays 30-plus minutes in this one. So I still really, really like him, even off the bench at 4,400. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that Orlando, just for my own lineups, that Orlando's bringing him off the bench because it's going to hold his ownership in check. There's just no question about it. He would be, I think, at least twice as popular as he's going to be if he was in the starting lineup compared to coming off the bench. And I don't think the minutes change all that much. Plus, I think it's obvious why Orlando's doing this, right? You start with Franz at the point, and then you need Anthony Black out there whenever Franz comes off. So I think Black will check in, 6 minutes into the halfway through the first quarter. And I think a good chance of playing the final, that would be the final 18 minutes of the half wouldn't surprise me. And I'll make another prediction. I bet Black starts the second half for Gary Harris or maybe Da Silva. And I bet Black closes this game, almost certainly if it's close. So I think two very obvious plays on Orlando are Black. And then he's expensive, Franz Wagner is, but he deserves it at 9,600. He could easily just absolutely smash against Charlotte. Do you think you can play Jonathan Isaac in this game against Charlotte? Makes some sense. And then if you're going to the big men here, I prefer Mo Wagner over Goga. To me, Wagner is the higher upside play. Like him a little bit. Don't forget about the Charlotte side. They're missing their three, you asked me to talk about Diabate, so here it is. They're missing Williams, Richards, and now Grant Williams is out too, who is starting at the center for most games with those two guys out. It's going to be Diabate at the center position. He's not a good offensive player whatsoever, but he has shown a ceiling. Even with more guys in. I mean, he put up against the same Orlando team in a game they lost by 25. He put up 43 DraftKings points. That was just 2 weeks ago against Orlando. So he does have it in him. The game after that, he put up 39 against Milwaukee. He's 4,900. I think he's a good player. He's not a good offensive player, but I think he's a good kind of real life player. So I like him. Miles Bridges also out. I love Brandon Miller. This guy can get just super, super hot from behind the arc. Has the last two games, 63, 54, 47 fantasy points in his last three. I think he's a good play with all the guys that are out. And then, LaMelo Ball got in foul trouble on Friday night, came back with 40 minutes against Milwaukee. I think that's kind of the plan for LaMelo, especially with Trey Mann also out now. So I like LaMelo. I like Miller, Diabate, and then I think you can play Cody Martin, who I think is going to come off the bench here, but I think is a decent play as well. So, yeah, another game that I really, really like here. I know the total's low. Maybe, kind of turns into a grind fest and doesn't get there, but I think the potential at least is here for this game as well. So I think it might be, DC 777 tonight, man, going and have a lot of early players in my lineups.
It makes sense. I will say we did get the news. Clay is out. Kyrie is in. So there will be some guard opportunities. That was like 15 minutes ago. But overall, this is clearly going to be a good game that we can get to. AP, talk about how you're handling this Hornets Magic game.
I think it's fine. I don't like it as much as DC. I get it. It's still too slow. Well, one slow pace defensive-minded team. I mean, Orlando right now, what they're doing, it's the Franz Wagner show. A ridiculous 40% plus usage rate. What he's doing is just absolutely insane. It's like Franz and then a supporting cast around him to play defense, and then Goga and others to get rebounds. So I like Franz independently. Outside of that, I don't like a ton. I like Goga a little bit, but Anthony Black, I think he's fine, but I think Jaden Hardy's going to start later in this 7:30 window, 3,700. I think he's a lock type play. We'll talk about that. So I don't want to lock up a bunch of guard spots and not be able to adjust when we get that starting lineup news. I think that's going to be very important on this slate. On the Hornets side, honestly, I think how you can play it is you play LaMelo Ball and Franz Wagner against each other. Two guys that just love to have the ball, insane usage rates right now. And then you fill out value pieces with some other elite value that's going to come out later on in the slate. So I like that route quite a bit. And Diabate, oh man, I don't know. good rebounder. He might own me. We'll see. I'm probably under on him.
You're gonna be tilting when he pulls down 22 boards and 4 blocks.
I know. Here's what we're gonna see. We're gonna see the two real points, 17 rebounds, 0 assists, and we're gonna see like 2 steals and 3 blocks. I mean, then I'm just gonna be laughing. That's all I got for this game.
That's like 35 right there. I'm good with that.
I would smash.
We're gonna skip Pelicans and Pacers just because we're waiting on the Miles Turner news. So I did not forget about it. If you are watching and wondering why we went over that game, let's get to a game that I think we can kind of breeze through pretty quick. It's Clippers and Celtics. I think James Harden's a good play and Zubac in tournaments at 7K. I understand Zubac is not going to get there all the time, but I do feel like if they want to win and stay in the game, they are going to need to use him, and he could do well. So I don't hate him in tournaments. I don't mind Harden in tournaments at 9.1K. They're clearly going to need him a ton to do well. Celtics-wise, I don't see any plays on my radar. They just seem too crowded. They're too priced up. So I'm not interested in the Celtics. It's mainly just, hey, maybe Harden or Zubac in tournaments. AP, what about you?
Yeah, I'll be quick with this one. Boston, a lot of mouths to feed. They're a very difficult team to play. I do find myself getting some Jaylen Brown. A lot of that has to do with, his price, 8,200 is fine. And then the positional flexibility, shooting guard, small forward, eligible. And then you got it'll be interesting. We'll see if we get Kevin Porter Jr., Jaylen Brown matchup at all. So anyone in chat knows what I'm talking about there. They can post it, but it'd be interesting if we see a little beef there. And then on the Clippers side, I mean, Harden, I think he's fine. I want Trae Young over him, 100 more. And then KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., his rotations suck. His minutes are terrible, but man, his usage is insane. And he makes terrible mistakes when he's out there. But there are going to be times where he goes nuclear. Now, again, I was high on him. Now we have this value opening up, and I want to prioritize the guard position. So I don't find myself getting as much, but he is in my pool of players.
DC, Celtic Clippers, you're going to be out in front. Are these any guys that you're going to be playing in this window?
Yeah, I'll be trying to fade the rest of the slate as I try to just get run down by every other team. It's going to be fantastic. I probably won't end up with a ton here. Changes to Boston, right? They are going to be without Horford and Cornette, but they get Porzingis back. So just one more guy on Boston that can get there. I mean, like Drew Holiday at 5,300, I think is fine. I just don't know if he's the value on this slate. One cheap guy I do like it a little bit on the Clippers is Chris Dunn. I know it's obviously kind of AP between Dunn and Porter, right? They're basically kind of competing for those minutes alongside James Harden. But this could be a game when they both get out there because the Boston plays kind of a lot of guards, right? They obviously start with Holiday and Derek White, and then Pritchard plays a lot of minutes. Jaylen Brown kind of guardish. So I think they're going to need Chris Dunn out there just to play defense on this Boston team. So I think this could be a Chris Dunn minutes ceiling game. He's 4,500. Not seeing any ownership for him, and kind of like what I've seen from him. I do think he is kind of the preferred like sidekick alongside James Harden in the backcourt. So he's a guy that I guess nobody else is on. A little worried the upside's not there for Chris Dunn, but you can get there defensively, shoot some threes. I think he could put up 30, 35 here.
For sure. Don't think we got too much else to say with that game. Let's get to, again, we're waiting on the Pacers news. Still don't got it. Probably get it in 4 minutes. Let's talk about Dallas and Atlanta. Clearly going to be a good game to talk about. There's value here. Klay Thompson out. Quentin Grimes out. They're missing Exum for a while. Obviously, Luka, he's out. Kyrie is clearly going to be a good play today, but is he good compared to some of these other guys? Like Ball is already in a great role. Wagner, we'll get to Jokic. So Kyrie's fine, but I'm not like dying to get them. I think I'm mainly looking at the values. I think Najee Marshall, really good play. PJ Washington, you have to like the opportunity there. Lively and Gafford could clearly go off and have big games. then it's like, is it Hardy? Is it Dinwiddie? I think you can make an argument because Hardy's got the shooting guard eligibility. That helps him a little bit more position-wise. Also, who's going to be the starter, right? I think that's another key thing. Which one of those two guys is going to start? So, AP, I'll go over to you to talk about this one. I didn't even talk about Atlanta, but Dallas is clearly one of the bigger talking points on the slate. How are you handling them and the Hawks as run-back options?
Yeah, so we got a big total here. Kyrie being in is really important. I'm not as worried about the other guys being out. I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, I was looking at my bet, talking out loud there.
Kyrie's already available, so I wouldn't.
Yeah. I'm sitting here worrying about my over bet on that game. I'm like, oh, if Kyrie's out, then I'm screwed. But it's a massive total. Kyrie being in helps. I think Jaden Hardy, if we get him starting, he feels like a lock type play. He's going to ball out. And then Spencer Dinwiddie, he got good minutes off the bench the last game that they played. Both are cheap. Like, I think in non-Kyrie builds, you could probably potentially play them together as value pieces that I think are really interesting. And then PJ Washington, he's going to play max minutes as well. So really, you should have a tight rotation in a really good matchup. Atlanta plays fast. They're not a good defensive team. They're deep now. They're healthier. And so it's all about, can the Mavs keep this one close? If they can, you're going to get big minutes out of PJ Washington. You're going to get big minutes out of Kyrie Irving. The bigs will continue to split minutes. And really, it's if it blows out, they'll probably go a different way and bring in random dudes. But if it stays close, you're going to get a really tight rotation around these starters. And then Dinwiddie and Gafford off the bench. So, yeah, it's a game that I want to prioritize. I want to get pieces to Hardy, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, kind of the ones I'm building around that I feel really good about. And that's from a price to minutes standpoint. And then Trae Young on the Atlanta Hawks side, 9,200, going to be a great matchup and great opportunity for him to really get going. So, and then I think you can bring Kyrie into the mix. So this is a game that I definitely am going to have a lot of exposure to.
DC, obviously you're going to like that first couple games, but this is not a game to ignore, right? I mean, when I run teams right now, I'm seeing like 3 to 4 Mavs on most teams. So we got to figure out how many Mavs are too many Mavs. How are we deciphering these values versus the other ones? Because it's clearly going to be a build that a lot of people are going towards. They're going to have a lot of Mavs on their team. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah. I think the worst part about NBA is like the feeling that you like have to play certain players, right? Like even if I'm like right about Orlando and Charlotte and all those guys go off, it might not matter if this chalk hits from the Dallas game. Whereas you look at, compare it to the NFL or baseball, and no player is guaranteed to go off any time, whereas basketball, just a completely different game. So, of course, you have to consider the Mavericks here. I mean, it's like all their guys that are going to get minutes are kind of in play here. They played an overtime game yesterday. We saw 40 minutes from Kyrie, 40 from PJ Washington. They had Grimes and Clay play a combined 56 minutes in that game. Both of those guys are out. Do you have a guess on the starting lineup, AP? Obviously, Kyrie, Washington, Lively, and then who starts for Grimes and Thompson? Najee Marshall and Jaden Hardy is your guess?
I think you got to start Najee Marshall and Jaden Hardy. I don't know, you're not going to start Dinwiddie. You need a ball handler for the second unit.
Najee feels like a lock to start.
Yeah, and Najee's going to play massive minutes. I don't see why he wouldn't. They love him on the defensive end, and look, he's been far more aggressive offensively, especially the last 2 games. I think you got to start him, and then it has to be our boy Hardy. And if Hardy starts, God, I love this spot. We know
I'm not a huge Hardy fan, but this is like a perfect spot for him, right? A pace-up game, not a lot of defense. He's like a pure scorer, so
this game's going to nuke, man. It's going to go off.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Another pretty good game stack here because you could play the Atlanta guys too. Trae Young, Jalen Johnson. I've been playing so much Jalen Johnson all season. The dude is just a freaking beast out there. Nobody wants to pay the price tag for him. I get it, but he certainly earned it. I think in order of preference from Dallas, I think Najee's the best play.
Miles Turner's in also.
Yeah.
Miles Turner's in, and we did get the Charlotte starting lineup. Taj Gibson is starting with Saloon, so your boy Diabate is not starting.
What?
Yeah. So
Good.
All right.
Get his
Lower
ass.
ownership.
I mean, he's still going to play the same minutes that he would
Yeah.
have played if he was
I'm
starting.
still playing him.
You should like him more, in my
No,
opinion.
I'm not moving.
Because he's going to be lower owned, and he's going to
Yeah.
be like, they're not going to play Taj Gibson.
Taj did play like 5 minutes.
I think Gibson like still gets like pretty big. Like Gibson's not really going to be a big deal, and it's still going to be Diabate like getting the same.
I'm telling you, this Saloon guy sucks, man. I've watched him play now a few times, and like he was their first draft. He was like the the 4th overall pick or whatever, too.
Don't play
blows
the
my
last
mind.
game tonight. Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Don't-
I mean, how do you pass on like Dalton Connect and like McCain and these guys that we're seeing for guys like this? Some organizations are just disastrous.
Yeah, we got some good min-priced trap veterans tonight, and Taj Gibson and Gary Harris in the starting lineup. I hope people play those dudes because I don't think they're very good plays tonight.
We will see. Let's get to.
Mangone, you've given no opinions. I have no idea who you're on this slate.
Oh, I didn't know you needed my.
I got to try to slip in some just make up some guy that's not even playing, and you'll be like, oh, for sure, yep, and then you'll just move on to the next game.
No.
Push back at me when I make a donkey suggestion like this.
I'm very confident that the way to play that game, if you want to play it, is play Franz, play LaMelo. Don't play any of the trappy values like Saloon or whatever his name is, and then play the cheap guys like Jaden Hart. That's the way to play.
You wanna donkey take from me, DC. I love Daniel Tice last slate, and he got 19 DK points for 3.3, which is pretty good.
Oh God, another one of those brags.
Daniel Tice is starting again. There you go. I'd play him at that price. I don't think he's bad. He's starting against Miles Turner. We just got that lineup. It is Elf Payton, CJ McCollum, Green, Murphy, and Daniel Tice. So, yeah, I actually think Daniel Tice is an interesting value at 3.6K. Yeah, JSU's not happy. JSU's not. I mean, he was 3-3. He was 3-3 the other day. He got 20 DK points. That's great. You sign up for that.
Oh my God.
You can. It's fine, man. But
I just had to look that up too, and I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yes, it is because of what it does for your. I mean, I'll fight all day. Like 3K, a 3K guy at 3-3 getting you 20.
See, this is the Mangone I'm trying to bring out. Don't go through the motions on me. Give me the fired up Mangone.
I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, if people, DC, I would basically pay. If you told me I made this argument once, and people maybe don't like this, but I said every single slate for the entire season. Now, I might get dusted in April, right? But if you told me I get 20 points from a 3K guy every slate, like it doesn't matter. I always get 20. I get it every single time.
Is that an option that I can click somewhere on the DraftKings app?
Would you sign up for that, DC?
Well, sure, but
correct. Well, people tell me I'm an idiot, and that's stupid. Like 3K.
What are you even arguing? Would you sign up for 80 points from a 10K guy?
Well, but people disagree. They're like, you can't take that for a 3K.
I bet Duop Reith outscores Taj Gibson, and who knows if he even plays.
You might not need to. Tosh could go negative.
Anyways, let's get back to Daniel Tyson. Talk about how he's going to get 20 DK points for 3.6K, and I would sign up for that. But anyways, I think Tyrese Halliburton, he has been horrific. I am not touching him. I don't care if everyone's out. I'm just not playing him right now. So personally, not on him, not on Miles Turner or Pascal. So really not excited about that side of the ball. And I'm really not super excited too much about the Pelicans, really. Mainly just, I guess, Daniel Tice. I mean, I can't pay for CJ McCollum. His PRA prop was really terrible. I guess Trey Murphy's not the worst option, but AP, you were waiting on the Miles Turner news. So what are you doing with that news now?
Yeah, because if he was going to be out, we could play an actual 3K guy in Moses Brown, assuming that he would have got the start. He was good yesterday. He was really good. Again, it was against the Wizards on a Sunday, and half the Wizards were probably drunk or hungover. So, I mean, you would probably do pretty good in that matchup, man, going. But, yeah, Miles Turner's in. The Pacers are a disaster right now. It's hard to get too excited about them. I don't know. I have a little bit, I like Benny Math Mathurin in this matchup, but he's 6,500. There's some risk there. I like Trey Murphy on the other side. They're going to need his offense. And then I think the rotation could be kind of ugly. CJ McCollum's 7,800, and he hasn't played him forever. So I haven't seen a minutes limit, but I can't imagine that he's going to play like his normal minutes. So I can't play him. It's really Trey Murphy or no one on the Pelicans side. I think Halliburton as a tournament play, Mathurin as a tournament play, Siakam as a tournament play, Turner, but I don't like them that much. That's my take on this game.
For sure. Jason, Jackson only playing 20 minutes. It's Rick Carlisle. You can't really make sense of anything. He just plays his guys however he feels like. He played that Freeman guy off the bench, right? Like just made him a starter. Like you just don't know with Rick Carlisle, right? That's the volatility that he has. DC, Indiana and the Pelicans. Any interest there?
Are we allowed to just say pass on games on NBA shows? Because
yes, you can say pass. We're doing good.
What happened to the Pacers? We were slamming their overs last year. It was awesome. They were scoring 1 million points every single game. Now they suck. They're terrible. They're not even fun to watch.
Yep, they're definitely not a team I'm rostering too much these days, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Portland and Memphis. AP, you referenced how the Jeremy Grant news is obviously going to be big. We got Scoot questionable, Murray questionable, and Ayton doubtful. Obviously, this news is going to matter. We don't have it. We don't know when we're going to get it. I think we should have had an update yet, but we really didn't get one. Maybe we'll get one soon. But are you backloading for this news, AP? Because clearly there's games that are locking, and these guys could get under own. So what's your thoughts here on how to handle Portland and Memphis?
Not like backloading, not avoiding like a good play just to like save a spot for this game. I do think if Jeremy Grant is out, it's interesting. It frees up a lot. Like we know Robert Williams isn't going to play more than 26 minutes. Like I think his cap is like 26, 27 minutes max. We haven't seen him in the starting unit. I don't know if his fantasy point per minute rate translates. He dominates in the second unit because he gets rebounds, putbacks, blocks, steals. In a sloppier play. And then now he's just competing now for more usage. And I don't necessarily like the matchup against Memphis with Jaren Jackson and these dudes down there in the paint. Am I fading Robert Williams? No, he's like one of the best projected point per dollar plays on the slate. I'm not fading him, but I think Denny Avdia is a really, really interesting play at 5,300. He looked really good the last time they played. He came off the bench, but he got starters minutes. They played some small ball, which I really like for this Portland team. We know the Grizzlies like to play small as well. I think Denny Avdia is a really, really interesting play. And then it's like Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons. They're just still too cheap. And it's like you can play one or the other and feel good about it. But, yeah, outside of that, if Grant sits, Avdia becomes a better play. And this game definitely becomes far more viable from a fantasy standpoint. And then the Grizzlies side, I think Bane in the bounce back spot, but John Morant's back. They're playing 12 dudes. They're basically mimicking what the Warriors are doing, which is kind of frustrating. So I don't feel the need to play anyone on the Memphis side.
All right, DC, do you feel the need to play anyone on Memphis? And you're starting up with the early game, so I doubt you're going to be waiting on the Portland news to load up on Trailblazers.
No, we're flipping over to football for this game and hoping that my lead holds up as the last two games go off. So I don't see really how you can play. Of course, Bane or Morant or it's anyone could go off Jaren Jackson, but given the options, especially those early games, I talked a lot about them. Very, very high in those games. Feel good about that, and it's just going to lead situation for me where I'm not going to get to really much of any of this game or frankly the next one. If I was going to play it, I think it would be Bane on the Memphis side. And then Portland side obviously depends on who is out. What do you guys think about like Robert Williams versus Lively as the last guy at center? I think that's pretty close. I think I prefer Lively as the starter, but I don't know. You have a lean there, Mangone. What do your projections say over there in Mangone land?
I would projections will like Robert Williams. Robert Williams is the guy that's popping right now. To be fair, if Ayton somehow went from doubtful to in, that would hurt Robert Williams. I don't see that happening.
Mangone, rank Williams Lively and Diabate for me in terms of how they ended up the night on DraftKings points. That's what I need to know.
It'd be Robert Williams, Lively, and then Diabate. But
I know that's what the projections say. What do you think? You going with the projections here?
I mean, that's what I would project them as if I was doing it myself. But my question would be, how many Mavericks do you have on that team?
I've got one team with Marshall, Lively, and Hardy. I think that makes some sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the idea of playing Lively if you're not if you're playing already 4, like you just said, there's only 3 Mavericks on that team. I think the Lively call is a really good one because I think he has the ability to have a really big game in this spot. I just would not want to play Lively with all those other chalky Mavericks. I want to more so use it as a leverage, right? That's kind of how I would at least approach it. So I think Lively's a really good tournament play. Doubt I'll be getting them, but I do think you're onto something with the Lively thought process.
All right.
So I would keep him on I like the setup. If you have it with 3, I think that's a really good way to go about it.
I wanted to get my lineup approved from the 15K.
He played 30 minutes too, which is nice to see. What's crazy is Miami has given up big numbers to bigs. Them and the Wizards and the Pistons, for some reason, have given up monster numbers to opposing bigs.
Yeah, but we're still really waiting on lineups. I mean, we got some, but there's nothing really crazy has changed. Still haven't gotten the Portland stuff.
I'm getting. I mean, with all this value now, I'm getting Jokic is such a. We're getting to that game, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing that game now. Which Jokic is the best spend on the slate. If you fade him, you're going to be unique right away. I'll say that Jokic is definitely the best play on the slate. I saw someone in chat talking about waiting on the cat news. I just think it's the wrong slate to be waiting on the cat news. If you have,
he's going to play. He's not going to miss.
And if you happen to be backloaded, sure, if you can make these other guys fit, great. But I do think he plays, so I'm not really super worried about that. They definitely need him against Jokic. We know Thibodeau, he just plays his guys. For me, I really only am looking at Jokic in this game and nothing else. Just nothing else sticks out to me. AP, does anything else stick out to you?
It's Jokic. I think it's a great matchup for him. The one thing about New York that I've seen is they're not as good defensively yet as a team. I think Hartenstein, I think there's a lot to do with that. New players coming in, building chemistry. Hartenstein was a beast last season.
And they got soft ass Brad in there, man. They went from Hartenstein and Robinson to
they're not the Thibs team, defensive team that we're used to seeing. I'll say that. And I think it's a great matchup for Jokic to do exactly what he does, which is distribute, create if he needs to, get rebounds. Triple-double incoming. He's playing big minutes. This is going to be a fun game to watch too. With all this value now, I mean, assuming Jaden Hardy starts, I might just lock Jokic. I got to update my core.
I gotta get
it's Jokic, and then I think Jalen. You can make a case for Jalen Brunson, but again, it's hard for me to play him over a Trae Young type. So I have a few shares of Jalen Brunson.
Another reason it's so easy to get Jokic today is there's just infinite value at all the other positions. Sure, there are good center options. I totally get it. But it's just there's just these easy value plays on the Mavericks that you can just put at your forwards and your guards. And it's just so simple. So, I mean, I think I wouldn't hate the idea of having 100% Jokic. I know typically that's not something, I would do. But I think on this slate, it's not the craziest idea. So, I like Jokic for sure in this spot. DC, are you kind of in agreement in getting Jokic in there, and how are you handling the other plays?
I mean, how are you going to argue against Jokic here? He's just putting up 70 fantasy points every single game, playing 40 minutes. Did his girl have the baby? I missed that if it happened. I assume.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, so he's good to go. He's even got the narrative street. Not that you need it with Jokic. He's at home. He's against soft ass cat on the interior for the Knicks. I mean, what's Jokic's projection? I feel like it should legitimately be 70 fantasy points.
At One Pure Sports, we have it at. Let me check. Actually, I was on the Sabre one, so I was wrong. We have it at 65.6. So that's pretty high. I'll say that.
Nice healthy projection, and honestly, push come to shove, I take the over on that number. So. I guess that's all you need to, if you can legitimately project someone for 70 fantasy points, of course, they're an awesome play, especially with the value. I I was kind of planning on maybe not playing him and going more balanced, but man, it's hard to pass up Jokic at really at any price, given the value and how well he's playing. So yeah, he's obviously.
I just reran my stuff. I'm getting a lot of Hardy, Dinwiddie together, which is interesting, and then Franz and Jokic as the spend ups. And
You're gonna get.
I love it. I love it, AP.
I mean, it's a good matchup. And what's up, Mango?
You're gonna get a lot of 2-stud builds, right? Like most teams are gonna have between like 2 and 4 Mavericks. You might even see like 5 Mavericks on some crazy teams. You'll definitely see. I think 3 or 4 is the number. I like 3, I think, is what I'm going to lean to. Just because there are other good values on the slate. Like, it's not like it's like a short slate. There's like 6 or 7 games.
Is there any?
I think the reason I'm getting a ton of Franz is look at forward. So, like, we have guard value now. Forward's kind of that awkwardish spot out of a few plays. So I think that's why he's just getting jammed in there.
Is there any chance Kyrie just goes off and all the Mavericks value like doesn't get there because Kyrie's just doing it all himself? I think that's at least possible, but I don't know.
It's definitely possible. It's not like impossible. But,
of course it's possible, yeah.
I would say if you do play 0 Mavericks, like you likely want to either have Kyrie or you're kind of playing for like the full-on blowout script, which means like you probably don't want anyone from the Hawks side, right? You just want that game to get like super ugly where like the final score is like 105 to like, I don't know, like 78, and they just like don't score at all. But that's against the Hawks. It's like hard for that not to happen. That would be an insane score. So I don't know. I think it's just hard. It's hard to avoid the Mavericks on this slate. Like I said, when I ran teams and I'm looking at them now, I mean, there's 4 Mavericks on like every single team. It's just they're so hard to avoid. So I think you kind of have to just like eat some of the Mavericks and call it a day. Let's see. Let's get to questions. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We got 11 more minutes. Dinwiddie or Gary Harris? I think it's Dinwiddie, and I don't think Dinwiddie starts. That's the funny part, but I still think it's Dinwiddie. AP, do you agree Dinwiddie versus Harris? Is it Dinwiddie?
Oh, yeah. Always. Both guys are kind of cheeks, but the matchup's going to be so much better for Spencer Dinwiddie. Like the Hawks game is going to play so fast that the opportunity is going to be there for 3.3K. The guy running the second unit, yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie for me.
I think Dinwiddie's a solid play at 3,300, but more importantly, do not play Gary Harris. I think that's the. You guys are with me, right? You're not playing Gary Harris. Please tell me you're not playing. Yeah.
No, I don't need to play Gary Harris. I'll tell you.
Probably makes 3 threes in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Bombing away.
DC, question for you: would you have Joker or the 3 studs from Toronto? I think you'd probably rather have Joker.
Yeah, I do have one of my 4 lineups. It just went with the 2 studs from Toronto. Barnes and Barrett is who I ended up with. But yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Also, I will say I found a pretty good team now. Like if you could get like if you're gonna play like the values, like for instance, like Hardy and Dinwiddie, then you have the ability to spend it forward. Jalen Johnson as a run back is super interesting. So
he's so good, man.
Yeah, don't ignore him as like a spend up forward. I think he's pretty good. All right, only 5K.
Tough matchup, but I agree.
I don't try to ask more like this guy or that guy questions, but only 5K left for utility. Is Diabate the best play? DC, is he your favorite play below 5K? The problem is I don't think he's your favorite below 5. But maybe
I feel like I need to back off my Diabate love a little bit, but I don't want to. I've still got Diabate in some lineups. Is he going to be low owned now, Mangone? Diabate, since he's not starting? I hope so.
He won't. Yeah, he'll be very low.
Okay.
Trust me.
Then I still like him. I wouldn't like him as chalk off the bench, but I like him if he's going to be low owned.
Yeah, everyone's going to play Robert Williams over him. So, by the way, my friend just texted.
Well, two bench centers. I mean, same price.
Yeah.
Same minutes.
I'm telling you, people will play Robert Williams over Diabate.
My highest own right now, Jaden Hardy, Tobias Harris. There you go, Mango. Dinwiddie, Jokic, and Franz Wagner. Let's roll.
You got a couple of players in there.
Big fan of that. I did. So this always makes me laugh. I have friends that text me sometimes. They'll text me at 2v2, and my friend texted me at 2v2, like, can you just watch the show? Why can't you be in the chat? You know what I mean? But we'll say it on air, and then I'll text him the answer because I bet he's not watching.
Is this friend Big T?
It's not. You think Big T texts me at 6:52? No shot.
I know, but it was still funny.
And it's a Gary Harris. No, that's Tobias Harris. It's Siakam and Tobias Harris, or Scotty Barnes and Robert Williams. I know I would take Siakam and Harris. What about you guys? Siakam and Harris, or Barnes and Robert Williams?
Number two for me.
Two for
Yeah,
DC?
I like the Scotty Barnes route.
Tell Big T to get Barnes in there.
Okay, I let him know. How many Mavs are too many Mavs? What do we got here on that? AP.
I still capped it at 3 max per team. So, and I just think there's plenty of really strong plays from a bunch of teams. So I think that route makes a lot of sense tonight.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm looking for my team right now, which one I'm picking, and it's going to have probably 3 Mavs. If I panic and can't find something at the end and it's like 4 is the best, but I kind of want it to be 3. I think that's the number I'm looking at.
I have, 3 is the most that I have on any of my 4 teams. If I was MMEing, I think I would allow it to go to 4 if I was playing a lot of lineups.
You definitely can, for sure. Trevor Bryan asks, can you play Dinwiddie, Kyrie, and Hardy? I mean, I think you can.
Too much. I think 2 of those 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 or 3 max with that.
I don't think you want to do that. Like, I just don't think it's gonna work out. See, I do max 2 or 3.
They're all directly competing for the same minutes and role. I think you want two at most of those 3. Now, Hardy and Dinwiddie, I think, are cheap enough where it could work.
Yeah.
But I just think, play the thing to do there is play a couple different lineups and play combinations, right? Of the 3 with 2 guys per lineup, I think.
For sure. Any musts in the first window of games? I don't think anyone's a must, but there's good plays, right? We've talked about them. There's good plays. For me, the good plays in the first game. I don't want to rattle them all. There's just too many. There's too many to mention. So,
Anthony Black, there you go. He's your must play.
Mo Wagner as a pivot off Robert Williams and Diabate. DC sounds like you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say you were playing Duop Reith? AP, I doubt you're playing Duop Reith.
No, like if Grant got ruled out, I do think that guy. Sorry, I gotta log into DraftKings. The freaking verification number.
No, you don't need to play Misi. No Misi today. I will say that.
I think he gets minutes. I'll say that. I think he has to get minutes, and we know what he can do. So if you're playing 150, I'd probably have him in my pool.
All right. Man, I kind of like that team.
They have no bigs. And that's where it's
they actually have more
doing
bigs.
That, or you're playing Denny.
They have more bigs than you think. The problem is they can split it around too much. That's the issue. They can play Jameson a little bit. They can play Tice. They can mix them all around a little bit. Cole Anthony's being slammed in the Sims from the guy who's going to be leading out in front with stacks. DC, do you want Cole Anthony?
No,
absolutely not. I think he's going to be the strict. I think he's going to play. I don't know. 10 minutes. I could actually see a scenario where he maybe even doesn't get in this game, to be honest. So no.
Yeah. All right. Williams or Diabate? I think it's Williams. I assume. AP, what do you think on this one?
Bob Williams.
Williams.
Easy.
Williams it is. The best values outside of the Mavs. Can you rank the Mavs values for us, DC?
Isn't that the exact opposite of what he's asking?
Who's the best value outside? Who's the best value outside of? Oh, outside of Mavs. Sorry, I read it wrong. My bad.
Yeah.
Who are the best values outside of the Mavs?
I really like Anthony Black, Jaden Ivey, Najee Marshall. He's on the Mavs, obviously. And then Robert Williams, Diabate, some of the guys that obviously we've been talking about.
All right. I do not think Campaign is a good last guy in, so I would not play Campaign today. I don't think.
Come on, Jason.
No Campaign. Rebuild that. Do you like Hardaway? DC, do you like? I don't like Hardaway that much, but I understand it.
I wouldn't remake your whole lineup if he's in there and you like everything else, but I'm not on him.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm sort of like that as well. I'm trying to get a 3-map team. I have a 4-map team in, and honestly, I don't want the 4-map team. I want the 3-map team. So, yeah, I'm gonna set this rule in so it only gives me 3. That way, I don't have to deal with it. So, Denny and Time Lord together. If Grant misses, yeah, you could do that. I wouldn't like plan my whole I wouldn't plan all my lineups around it. I'll call that out. I think that's kind of wrong. So. Actually, that's the team. I found the winner, DC.
The Sims did try to sneak in some Gary Harris on me. I had to manually bump him down.
You got to watch out for those Sims. You can't be getting Gary Harris in your lineups.
Yeah, my team is gonna have who I said, Jalen Johnson. I like the Jalen Johnson move today. I think it's a good one. I got Tobias Harris and Jalen Johnson. It's a good. Oh, Ayton just got ruled out. Oh, that.
There you go. See.
That actually makes things kind of tricky.
Or no, yeah, he was never going to play anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right.
Where it was Jeremy Grant.
I was thinking Grant. Yeah, no. Grant is available. Okay, Grant's available.
Okay.
Chris Murray's out.
He still sucks.
Out. But I don't think we're adjusting everything for all that. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a clear bump for Robert Williams. I think he's. I mean, I shouldn't say bump. He's just secure now. I would like the Robert Williams idea. So there you go. I don't know if we got much else. Hardy or Dinwiddie? Eileen Hardy. What about you guys? Are you all in agreement? It's Hardy?
Hardy, yeah. Well, we're assuming he starts. Do we have the starters yet for that?
We do not. But that's the assumption.
I have a lot of both.
The assumption of him starting is pretty good in my opinion. So that's the thought process.
Why play Kyrie when you can play Hardy and Dinwiddie?
I mean, yeah, I have a lot of Hardy, Dinwiddie, Jokic. So if you want to do that, stud and duds, let's go. Yeah. And a lot of it's price and matchup based. They don't have a lot of guards. I think there's a lot of paths where both get there together. So
any Anthony Simons? Not for me. It's just as crazy as it sounds. That situation is still it's still a little crowded with in the sense of if one guy plays bad and they're not trying to win or they don't care, right? They can go Sharp, they can go Banton, they can go, Kamara. They could just mix it up. So and they could easily just Simon's floor is just a little too low for me. So I'm not interested.
And the Grizzlies have been underrated defensively, and I don't know if it's due to the rotation, kind of doing what the Warriors have been doing, but. It hasn't been the easiest of matchups. I'll say it.
All right. I think that wraps up. We don't got any other questions. I don't think I missed any. If I did, I apologize. You can, spam me on Twitter and tell me I'm a terrible person at Travis Mangone. AP, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I hope I'm right about these guards on the Mavs side. Hopefully Jaden Hardy starts. Hopefully Dinwiddie gets a second, runs a second unit. If that happens, I think there's plenty of routes where both smash. If both of them smash, our stud and our double stud and value route should be set up pretty well. So that's my final thoughts.
DC, final thoughts?
Justin Herbert puts up 36 fantasy points on the Ravens tonight. Your captain if you're playing Showdown NFL.
That's my captain on the Showdown course. So you'll see some. You'll either see some Justin Herbert in my lineups or you won't. We'll have to see. We'll find out if I'm swerving the field. Snyder and the Soldiers. Good luck tonight, Ravens. Flock.
He's on. He's on the Bolts tonight.
Yeah,
He's
that's
been spamming that over and over.
Snyder.
That makes me want to get on the Ravens, but I'm not.
Turn Snyder alerts, his Twitter alerts on tonight.
All I know.
There must be some good trends on the Bolts here.
I want everyone to hold Snyder accountable. If he's truly on the Bolts tonight, He can't be in the chat going, "Oh, Ravens won. I'm so pumped." He can't be doing that.
He will be. He will be.
Well, I'm going to hold him accountable. So, Snyder, don't you dare. If you are truly betraying the Ravens flock tonight.
Best part is I don't even think Snyder plays NBA, so there's like zero chance.
Yeah.
He might be watching.
He sometimes does. He sometimes starts in there. Who knows? He could be sitting there getting his like third lift of the day. You know?
Yeah. Keep hammering.
Keep hammering. You gotta be dying. Okay, we gotta get on out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show. For me, Mango and AP and Snyder Soldiers. We'll see you guys later.